at the darts last night, talking about Peter Wright winning the World Championships with that great mohican, great comeback win. But we have to talk about, there's been quite a lot of controversy this year and a lot of abuse for Gerwyn Price, the defending champion.
Yeah, there has. I mean, the further he got in the tournament, the more abuse that he seemed to get from the fans. He did say he prefers it when he's heckled by the crowd, but it did seem to get to him during his quarter-final defeat to Michael Smith, as he sort of stopped to make the officials known he wasn't happy with it all, and afterwards he posted the word cheats on Instagram. Let's talk to Dylan Williams from the Darts Cymru blog. Good morning, Dylan.
Bore da, Ian. Morning.
Bore da. Good to have you with us again. What did you make of it all? Because it got a bit ugly, didn't it, with all the abuse that Gerwyn was getting, and you wonder, don't you, what can be done to stop all of that?
Yeah, it's been disgraceful, if I'm honest, Ian. You know, in the first round against Richie Headhouse, it was that usual sort of heckling, you know, and sort of whistling while he was on a double. But then as he moved through the rounds, you know, we saw the Kim Hybrex match, I think it was, when, you know, the broadcaster even had to turn down the audio levels to dub out the crowd, which is completely unacceptable. But, you know, it isn't something new for Gerwyn, which, like you said in your introduction, sometimes he's sort of thrived on that pantomime villain tag. You know, since 2018, there was a famous game between Gerwyn and Gary Anderson in the Grand Slam final, and, you know, there was a bit of conflict on stage, and obviously Gary was that fan's favourite, and, you know, they thought that Gerwyn crossed the line that night, and, you know, fans are quite fickle sort of people. You know, they'll boo you in one leg, and then, as we saw on Saturday, he hit that 9-darter, and the crowd were all on his side. But then within a few other legs, then they were against him. So, you know, it's something that he's learned to live with. But I think there's a fine line, isn't there, between banter, which we see in all sorts of sports, and bullying. And I think, you know, over the last fortnight at the Palace, that line has been crossed.
It seemed quite nasty at times. There's even been some fans on social media who'd gone there to support Gerwyn, saying, you know, we were abused for actually supporting him and having a Welsh flag there. But, you know, he has called Price, hasn't he, for the PDC to move the event to a different venue in the UK every year, and he hopes it's played in Wales. Is that realistic? I mean, why is it always played at the Alexandra Palace?
The World Championship has always been at the Alexandra Palace in recent years. I understand there's a contract for it to remain there until 2024. But, you know, going back to your question in terms of where do we go from here, how do we deal with this? You know, I think it's time for the PDC, and especially those authorities that supervise at these venues, you know, that they take a stance and try and stamp this behaviour out once and for all. And, you know, if this continues at Alexandra Palace, well, yeah, maybe it is an option to look to take it somewhere else. But, you know, from experience, Ian, you know, watching these tournaments across the year, it isn't any better anywhere else, unfortunately. You know, they're on about take it to Holland, take it to Germany. You know, and Gerwyn has to take the flak there as well. And, you know, no sort of sports person should have to put up with what Gerwyn has had to put up over the last 3 or 4 years. But, you know, Price has vowed to get stronger, to come back better, to practice harder. But in order for him to have that level playing field, I feel the authorities really need to back up their ideas.
It'd be interesting to see where they go with it. And a quick word on the final. We were talking about Mohican Man, Peter Wright, this morning. Looking brilliant, and a terrific comeback to win last night.
It was you know, finals can often be flat, can't they? But last night really lived up to the billing, and, you know, nip and tuck back and forth until they got to about 4-all. And then when Michael took that 9th set, I thought, you know, he was on his way to lifting his first major title. But then, you know, Snakey rolled off, was it 9 of the last 10 legs? And, you know, just the accuracy, the precision, it just looked as if he had magnets in those segments he was aiming for. But, you know, all in all, I think Peter deserved the title. And, you know, going into 2022, obviously, the top 3 in the world now, you know, given their form, is Gerwyn, Johnny and Peter. And I look forward to seeing the battles between them.
Yeah, Dylan is the mohican. It helps with the aim, I think, don't you think?
Well, I think he's got his wife to thank for that. You know, it's 3 or 4 hours preparation before a match. You know?
I was going to say, I read that 2 hours, at least 2 hours to do that every time.
Yeah.
Can we just have a quick word about the trophy? How big is that?
Well, I'm like 5'11", and I've stood next to it, and it's up to your waist. It's a big. Yeah, it is a big trophy, and Gerwyn probably would have been hurting last night seeing Peter lift that trophy, but I'm sure the boys will be back next year fighting for it.
Let's hope so. Let's hope it's a good year for darts as well. Johnny Clayton, you mentioned him there, getting to the 4th round for the first time. So hopefully another good 12 months ahead of us. Dylan, thank you.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Dylan. Thank you very much. Let's get